listen to me right now. Your life doesn't change by chance, it changes by choice. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Mindset is the weapon that separates the average from the unstoppable. If you're tired of excuses, if you're tired of waiting, it's time to transform your life with the power of discipline and mindset. Discipline creates freedom, and most people never truly understand this because they see discipline as a prison rather than the key that unlocks the prison doors. They think discipline is restriction, a set of rules that takes away their ability to enjoy life, when in reality, it is the very thing that sets them free from the chaos of wasted time, unfulfilled potential, and the weight of regret. Freedom is not doing whatever you want, whenever you feel like it. Freedom is having the strength, the structure, and the willpower to do what needs to be done so you can live the life you actually want. Freedom is not waking up at noon with no purpose. Freedom is not avoiding responsibilities. Freedom is not staying comfortable while life passes you by. That is slavery disguised as liberty. True freedom is waking up early with a plan, with clarity, with a mission in front of you, and the discipline to attack it without hesitation. When you embrace discipline, you eliminate the noise. You strip away the distractions that beg for your attention and pull you off course. The world is designed to test your focus, to keep you scrolling, to keep you entertained, to keep you comfortable. Discipline says no. Discipline says, I have work to do. Discipline builds habits, and habits build character, and character determines destiny. Without discipline, talent wastes away, intelligence becomes scattered, and dreams remain dreams. But when discipline takes control, talent sharpens into skill, intelligence focuses into results, and dreams transform into reality. Every single great athlete, leader, creator, and builder who has ever walked this earth knew this truth. The more disciplined their lives became, the more freedom they had to reach heights others only imagine. Think about it. The person who practices discipline in their health has the freedom to run, to move, to feel strong, while the undisciplined body becomes a cage of weakness, sickness, and regret. The person who applies discipline to their finances has the freedom to choose, to invest, to give, while the undisciplined spender becomes trapped in debt, fear, and limitation. The student who disciplines their study habits has the freedom to learn, to grow, to expand into new opportunities, while the one who drifts through school without structure becomes stuck, limited, and unable to move forward. Freedom is purchased with discipline. Every time you choose structure over laziness, every time you choose consistency over excuses, every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you are buying freedom for your future self. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not always exciting. It is built in silence when nobody is watching, in early mornings and late nights, in small decisions made repeatedly until they become unshakable habits. Discipline means saying no when the world says yes. Discipline means waking up when the body says sleep. Discipline means doing it right, not once, but every single time, until excellence is no longer an act, but a standard. Freedom is not free. It is the most expensive thing you will ever own, and the price is discipline. If you are willing to pay that price, you will walk in a kind of freedom most people will never know. The athlete who wakes up before sunrise to train does not complain about lost sleep because the discipline of training gives them the freedom to dominate on the field. The writer who disciplines themselves to write every day does not envy others wasting time because that discipline gives them the freedom to create a legacy of words. The entrepreneur who disciplines their spending, their planning, their vision does not fear the future because discipline has given them the freedom to build something that will last. Discipline is the mother of freedom. It is the hidden engine that drives every success story. It is the foundation on which freedom stands tall. Most people chase freedom directly, thinking it comes from avoiding work, avoiding sacrifice, avoiding effort. They do not see that those choices chain them to weakness, procrastination, and regret. The freedom they chase turns to dust in their hands because freedom without discipline is chaos, and chaos always collapses on itself. True freedom requires order, and order comes only through discipline. Discipline brings control. Control brings strength. Strength brings choice. Choice brings freedom. This is the cycle that builds greatness, and it begins with the smallest decision to be disciplined today. Every time you discipline your body, you are teaching your mind to be strong. Every time you discipline your mind, you are preparing your soul to be resilient. Every time you discipline your choices, you are shaping your destiny. Freedom without discipline is an illusion, but freedom through discipline is unshakable. You cannot buy it. You cannot borrow it. You cannot cheat it. You can only earn it, and the earning is daily, repetitive, demanding. Yet within that grind lies the reward, the ability to wake up each day knowing you are not controlled by impulses, distractions, or weakness, but guided by principles, structure, and strength. That is freedom. That is the power of discipline. Mindset controls outcomes, and this is a truth that separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. Every battle in life begins in the mind long before it is ever fought in reality. The way you think shapes the way you act, and the way you act shapes the results you produce. A negative mindset sees obstacles, a positive mindset sees opportunities, and a disciplined mindset refuses to see limits. Life will always test you, throw challenges at you, and try to convince you that you are not enough. But the mind you build determines whether you crumble or whether you rise. Mindset is the lens through which you see the world, and the lens you choose will either sharpen your vision or blur your destiny. When someone faces failure, the outcome is not determined by the event itself, but by the mindset they bring into it. One person sees failure as the end, a signal that they are not capable, and they stop trying. Another sees failure as a lesson, proof that effort is required, and they grow stronger from it. The event is the same, but the mindset changes the result completely. That is why mindset is not just a detail. It is the foundation. Without the right mindset, no amount of talent or opportunity will matter. Talent without the right mindset becomes wasted potential. Opportunity without the right mindset becomes missed chances. Hardship without the right mindset becomes defeat. But with the right mindset, talent sharpens, opportunity expands, and hardship transforms into growth. Mindset controls how you handle pressure. Pressure is a test that everyone faces, but not everyone passes. Some collapse under it, while others thrive in it. The difference is not the weight of the pressure, but the perspective of the mind. To someone with a fragile mindset, pressure feels like punishment. To someone with a strong mindset, pressure feels like preparation. It is not the situation that decides your outcome, but the strength of your inner dialogue. If your mind tells you that you can endure, that you can adapt, that you can overcome, then your body and your actions will follow. If your mind tells you that it is too hard, that it is impossible, that it is not worth it, then your outcome is sealed before you even move. Your mindset also controls your discipline because the body follows the orders of the mind. A person with a weak mindset cannot remain consistent, cannot push through discomfort, cannot resist distractions. But a person with a powerful mindset creates structure, endures struggle, and embraces discomfort as a path to strength. Every great achievement is first a mental victory before it becomes a physical reality. The athlete visualizes the win long before it happens. The leader envisions the outcome long before the team achieves it. The creator imagines the art before it is produced. Without the mental picture, the action has no direction, and without direction, there can be no result. Mindset controls how you see yourself. Self-image is one of the most powerful forces in the human experience because people rarely rise above the level of what they believe about themselves. If you believe you are weak, you will act weak. If you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage opportunities. If you believe you are destined for greatness, you will act with confidence, persist through setbacks, and chase goals that others fear. The identity you carry in your mind becomes the reality you live in. This is why changing your mindset is not just adjusting thoughts, it is rewriting your entire future. Mindset controls how you view time. The wrong mindset seeks shortcuts, instant gratification, and quick rewards. It cannot endure patience, and because of that, it cannot build anything lasting. The right mindset understands that greatness takes time, that success is delayed gratification, that consistency over years is the true currency of achievement. A strong mindset looks at the long road and says, I will walk it. A weak mindset looks at the same road and says, it's too far. Both see the same distance, but only one has the endurance to finish. Mindset controls how you handle pain. Pain is not optional in life, but suffering is often chosen. A weak mindset sees pain as a reason to quit, as proof that the journey should stop. A strong mindset sees pain as proof that growth is happening, as the cost required to achieve something meaningful. Pain breaks the weak and builds the strong. The difference lies in mindset. The same weight that crushes one person strengthens another. The same loss that destroys one individual teaches resilience to another. Pain does not decide who you become, your mindset does. Mindset controls how you influence others. A leader with a weak mindset spreads fear, doubt, and hesitation. A leader with a strong mindset spreads belief, courage, and confidence. Your energy transfers to everyone around you, and that energy is born from your mindset. If you want to build others, if you want to inspire others, if you want to lead, you must first build your own mind into a fortress. That fortress is not built in easy times, but in storms, in setbacks, in the moments when most people give up. Mindset controls persistence. The majority of people do not fail because they lack skill, but because they lack persistence. They give up too soon. They expect quick results. They demand instant rewards. When those do not come, they stop. But the person with the right mindset knows that the process is long, that failure is part of progress, and that persistence eventually breaks through resistance. A strong mindset does not stop when tired. It stops when finished. It does not bend when challenged. It adapts and pushes forward. This persistence, born from mindset, is what separates success from regret. Mindset controls how you see challenges. Challenges are either barriers or stepping stones, and the difference is mindset. To someone unprepared mentally, challenges appear as walls too high to climb. To someone with a resilient mindset, those same challenges are training grounds to build strength, wisdom, and resilience. The mountain is not smaller for the strong-minded, but their belief makes the climb possible. Mindset controls gratitude. A negative mindset focuses on what is missing, what is lacking, what is unfair. A positive mindset focuses on what is present, what is growing, what is possible. Gratitude shifts the mind from scarcity to abundance, and abundance creates energy to keep moving forward. Without gratitude, the mind falls into bitterness, envy, and despair. With gratitude, the mind finds hope, courage, and drive. Gratitude itself is a mindset, and it determines whether life feels like a burden or a blessing. Mindset controls resilience. Life will knock you down, and that is guaranteed. What is not guaranteed is whether you get back up. Resilience is a product of mindset. When failure comes, a strong mindset says, not the end, just the beginning. When loss comes, a strong mindset says, I will rebuild stronger. When rejection comes, a strong mindset says, this is redirection, not destruction. The weak mindset accepts defeat as permanent, but the strong mindset sees defeat as temporary. Mindset controls legacy. The actions you take day after day are born from the beliefs you carry in your mind. Over years, those actions become your story, and your story becomes your legacy. Whether that legacy is one of regret or one of greatness begins with mindset. A fearful mindset creates a legacy of missed chances. A bold mindset creates a legacy of risks taken and victories won. A disciplined mindset creates a legacy of consistency and excellence. Everything you leave behind is first built inside the mind you choose to carry each day. Mindset controls possibility. The human mind is capable of imagining futures that have never existed, of creating realities that others cannot see. But only a strong mindset believes enough to act on those visions. Every invention, every breakthrough, every revolution began in the mind of someone who refused to accept limitations. Where others saw impossible, their mindset saw possible. Where others saw barriers, their mindset saw opportunity. This power belongs to every person, but only those who train their mindset unlock it. Mindset controls outcomes because everything external is first internal. The world does not hand victories to those who doubt themselves. The world does not reward those who think small. The world bends to those who believe, those who commit, those who persist. The seed of every outcome lies in the soil of mindset, and what grows depends on what you plant there. If you plant doubt, fear, and excuses, you will harvest failure, regret, and mediocrity. If you plant belief, discipline, and resilience, you will harvest growth, achievement, and freedom. Your mindset is the root, and your life is the fruit. Excuses bury potential, and every time a person makes an excuse, they are digging a grave for their dreams. Excuses sound harmless, they feel small, they seem like simple justifications for why something could not be done. But in reality, they are poison. They are the silent killers of ambition, the quiet voices that convince you that later is better, that tomorrow is safer, that someone else is luckier, and because of that, you stop moving forward. Potential is not destroyed overnight. It is buried slowly by excuses stacked one after another, until it is completely hidden, never to be seen again. The saddest truth about excuses is that they disguise themselves as reasons. And when you believe them, you surrender the power you hold to shape your life. Every excuse you make is a brick on top of your potential, weighing it down, making it harder to rise. Excuses do not protect you, they trap you. They convince you that you are being realistic, when in truth you are being limited. People say they don't have time, but time is the same for everyone. People say they don't have the resources, but history is filled with stories of those who began with nothing and built everything. People say they don't have talent, but talent is a product of persistence and practice, not a gift handed at birth. Excuses mask the truth, and the truth is often uncomfortable. You didn't do it because you chose not to. You didn't push because comfort felt easier. You didn't commit because fear whispered louder than your ambition. Excuses bury potential because they trade the possibility of what could be for the comfort of what is. Potential is not permanent. It is perishable. It demands to be used. It begs to be stretched. And if ignored, it withers away. Excuses are the chains that keep it locked up. Every time you say, I can't, or I'll start tomorrow, or it's not the right time, you are locking another shackle around your potential. Imagine the countless ideas, inventions, performances, and breakthroughs that never saw the light of day because someone made an excuse. Imagine the books never written, the companies never built, the victories never won, the lives never changed, all buried under the weight of excuses. The world never knew them because someone convinced themselves of a story that kept them still. Excuses are seductive. They feel good in the moment because they shift responsibility away from you. They make you believe it's not your fault, that circumstances were against you, that someone else had an unfair advantage. They soothe your ego, but they destroy your future. The danger of excuses is not just in what they prevent you from doing today, but in the habit they create for tomorrow. One excuse becomes two become 10. And soon excuses are your language, your mindset, your lifestyle. At that point, potential is not just buried, it is forgotten. You begin to accept a smaller life, a weaker self, a duller existence, and call it normal. But deep inside, the truth burns. You know you could have done more. You know you could have been more. The gap between who you are and who you could have been is dug by excuses. Excuses bury potential because they destroy discipline. Discipline requires consistency, and excuses break consistency. You cannot build momentum if you stop every time something feels hard. You cannot grow if you quit whenever discomfort appears. Excuses will always appear logical. I don't have the money. It's raining. I'm not ready. Every excuse has some truth in it, and that's why it is powerful. But truth twisted into limitation is still a lie. You are not too tired, you are uncommitted. You do not lack money, you lack creativity to find a way. You are not unready, you are unwilling to start where you are. Discipline dies when excuses live, and when discipline dies, potential is buried with it. Excuses bury potential by feeding fear. Every excuse is rooted in fear. And the more you feed it, the stronger it becomes. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort, fear of change. These are the foundations of every excuse. When you make excuses, you reinforce the belief that fear is valid, that it deserves control. Over time, fear grows while courage shrinks, and the cage around your potential becomes unbreakable. Potential is not about what you could have done in an ideal situation. It is about what you could have done despite the challenges. Excuses eliminate that chance because they allow fear to dictate your limits. Excuses bury potential in silence. They don't come with alarms or warnings. They whisper, they persuade. They reason with you quietly until you no longer resist. And because they feel so small, so insignificant, you do not notice the damage until years have passed. One skipped workout becomes years of poor health. One delayed opportunity becomes decades of regret. One avoided risk becomes a lifetime of playing it safe. Excuses don't just bury potential, they bury time, and time is the one resource you never get back. Excuses bury potential by keeping you average. Everyone makes excuses, and the reason most people live ordinary lives is because they settle for those excuses. The ones who rise above, the ones who achieve greatness, are not those with easier paths, but those who refuse excuses entirely. They face the same obstacles, they feel the same fears, they encounter the same setbacks, but instead of saying, I can't, they ask, how can I? Instead of saying, not today, they say, today is the day. Instead of saying, it's too hard, they say, this is what will make me stronger. Their potential grows while others' potential dies simply because of how they respond to excuses. Excuses bury potential because they block action, and action is the only way potential becomes reality. Thinking, planning, and hoping are useless without movement. Excuses freeze you in place. They convince you that waiting is smarter, that conditions will improve, that tomorrow will be easier. But tomorrow brings new challenges, new excuses, new delays. Action taken now breaks the cycle. Action, even imperfect action, begins to release potential. Excuses delay, but action reveals. Excuses suffocate, but action breathes life. Excuses destroy the chance of growth, but action guarantees it. Excuses bury potential in comparison. You look at others who are ahead, and instead of learning from them, you excuse yourself by saying they had more opportunities, more luck, more support. You ignore the sacrifices they made, the discipline they practiced, the pain they endured. You bury your potential by convincing yourself that their success means your failure, that their story cannot be yours. Potential is unique to every person, but excuses blind you from seeing your own. When you compare, you bury what is inside you because you are too focused on what is inside someone else. Excuses bury potential by destroying belief. Belief is fragile, and every excuse chips away at it. When you tell yourself you cannot, you begin to believe it. When you tell yourself you are not ready, you start living as if you never will be. Belief builds potential into confidence, but excuses erode belief until nothing remains but doubt. Potential without belief is powerless because belief is the switch that activates action. Excuses flip that switch off. Excuses bury potential across generations. A parent who makes excuses teaches a child to do the same. A leader who makes excuses teaches a team to accept mediocrity. Excuses spread like a disease, infecting everyone around you. Potential is not only lost individually, it is lost collectively. Families, teams, and even societies collapse under the weight of excuses. The opposite is also true. Refusing excuses unleashes potential, not only in you, but in those who watch you. Your discipline, your refusal to justify weakness, your commitment to action inspire others to dig up their own buried potential. Excuses bury potential because they separate you from accountability. Accountability demands honesty, and honesty demands that you admit when you could have done better. Excuses block that honesty by shifting blame elsewhere. You tell yourself it wasn't possible, it wasn't fair, it wasn't the right time, and in doing so, you avoid the discomfort of truth. But accountability is the fertilizer of potential. When you own your failures, you can learn. When you own your mistakes, you can improve. When you own your choices, you can change them. Excuses take that away, leaving your potential starved. Excuses bury potential because they make comfort more valuable than growth. Comfort is the enemy of progress, and excuses are its protector. Excuses let you stay where you are without guilt, but where you are is never enough if you know you have more inside you. Comfort feels safe, but it is the soil where regret grows. Potential dies there because it is never stretched, never tested, never given a chance to expand. Excuses tell you that staying comfortable is fine, but deep inside you know it is a lie. Excuses bury potential because they disguise themselves as wisdom. They say you are being smart, practical, realistic, when in reality you are being afraid, hesitant, and doubtful. Wisdom is not avoiding risk, it is taking calculated risk. Wisdom is not staying safe, it is growing strong enough to handle danger. Excuses mimic wisdom, but their goal is to keep you from acting. The more you believe them, the more you kill the possibility of greatness. Excuses bury potential because they close doors before you even try to walk through them. Potential lives in attempts, in risks, in exploration. And when you make excuses, you never even knock. You assume rejection, you assume failure, you assume struggle, and so you never take the first step. The door remains closed not because it was locked, but because you convinced yourself it was not worth trying. Potential is wasted at the threshold, never even tested, because excuses kept you outside. Habits shape destiny. And this is one of the most unshakable truths about life. What you do consistently, whether small or large, becomes the foundation of the future you build. People often believe that destiny is written somewhere far beyond their control, decided by chance, luck, or external forces. But the reality is that destiny is carved by repetition. Every single action you repeat, every routine you follow, every choice you make day after day builds a path, and that path eventually becomes your life. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Habits are the invisible architecture of destiny, guiding you toward greatness or trapping you in mediocrity. Every person has habits, whether intentional or unintentional. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant lies not in whether they have habits, but in which habits they practice. The disciplined individual builds habits of growth, persistence, learning, and resilience, while the undisciplined one falls into habits of procrastination, distraction, comfort, and excuses. These small daily patterns may seem insignificant, but over time they compound into massive results. A single glass of water every morning, a single page read every night, a single workout repeated over months. All of these add up to transformation. The same is true in reverse. A single skip task, a single excuse, a single indulgence repeated daily leads to decay. Destiny is not shaped by one moment of inspiration, but by the repeated rhythm of habits. Habits shape character, and character shapes destiny. Who you are is not defined by what you do occasionally, but by what you do consistently. A person who occasionally works hard, but usually procrastinates, becomes identified with laziness. A person who occasionally shows courage, but usually hides, becomes known for fear. But a person who trains themselves through habit to act with discipline, to speak with honesty, to move with purpose, eventually becomes a person of integrity, strength, and impact. Destiny does not appear out of nowhere. It is the inevitable conclusion of who you become through your habits. Habits are powerful because they bypass decision. The brain creates habits to save energy, and once something becomes habitual, it no longer requires thought. This can be your greatest strength or your greatest weakness. If your habits are destructive, you will continue down a path of destruction without even realizing it because the decisions are no longer conscious. If your habits are constructive, you will continue building success without resistance because the decisions happen automatically. That is why changing your destiny is not about making one big decision. It is about making small decisions repeatedly until they become habits. Once they become habits, they guide your life without requiring constant willpower. Habits also shape mindset. Repeated actions influence the way you think and the way you perceive yourself. If you build habits of quitting when things get hard, your mind begins to see yourself as weak, as incapable, as someone who cannot finish. If you build habits of pushing through discomfort, your mind sees yourself as strong, resilient, and unstoppable. Over time, the story you tell yourself is built by the habits you live by. The more consistent your habits, the stronger the story. And the stronger the story, the more it dictates your destiny. Habits determine focus. Your time is limited, and whatever you habitually give attention to grows. If you habitually waste hours on distractions, those distractions shape your destiny into a life of regret. If you habitually invest time into learning, training, building, and growing, those investments shape your destiny into a life of achievement. Destiny is simply the harvest of seeds planted daily, and habits are the act of planting. What you sow every day will decide what you reap in the future, and you cannot reap greatness if you never sow discipline. Habits also control resilience. When challenges come, people do not rise to the occasion. They fall to the level of their training. If you have habits of quitting, excuses, and avoidance, you will crumble under pressure. If you have habits of persistence, courage, and endurance, you will thrive under pressure. Habits prepare you long before the test arrives. Destiny is not determined in the moment of battle. It is determined in the quiet training that takes place every day when no one is watching. The habits you practice in silence decide the victories you will claim in public. Habits shape relationships, and relationships shape destiny. If you habitually treat others with respect, kindness, and honesty, you attract people who value those qualities, and they strengthen your journey. If you habitually lie, disrespect, or neglect, you attract chaos and distrust, and they sabotage your path. Destiny is rarely achieved alone. The people around you play a significant role in where you end up, and your habits decide who those people will be. Habits also determine health, and health is the foundation for everything else. The small habits of eating, sleeping, exercising, and resting create the energy, clarity, and strength required to pursue greatness. Without strong health habits, potential is buried under fatigue, illness, and weakness. Many people destroy their destiny, not because they lacked ambition, but because their habits destroyed their health. Energy fuels everything, and habits decide whether you preserve or waste it. Habits shape financial destiny. Spending recklessly becomes a habit. Saving and investing becomes a habit. The difference over years is staggering. One person's habits of wasting money bury them in debt, while another's habits of discipline create freedom, options, and security. Wealth is not built in a day. It is built in daily choices, repeated until they create a foundation of abundance. Habits also influence belief. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you reinforce the belief that you are trustworthy, disciplined, and capable. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you cannot be trusted to follow through. These beliefs compound over time until they either empower you or destroy you. Destiny is simply belief put into action, and belief is built on the habits you live. Habits determine how you use your mornings, and mornings shape the tone of your day. A person who begins the day with intentional habits, exercise, reading, planning, sets themselves up to win. A person who begins the day with habits of snoozing alarms, scrolling endlessly, or rushing into chaos sets themselves up to lose. Each day is a brick in the structure of your destiny, and how you begin it often determines how you build it. Habits determine how you end your days. Reflection, gratitude, and preparation create a cycle of growth. Neglect, distraction, and avoidance create a cycle of stagnation. The way you close one day becomes the way you open the next. And over time, this rhythm becomes your destiny. Habits also determine how you respond to opportunities. Opportunities do not wait for you to prepare. They come suddenly. And the habits you have built determine whether you are ready or unready. A person who has built habits of learning, practicing, and staying prepared can seize opportunities when they appear. A person who has built habits of neglect, procrastination, and excuse making will watch opportunities slip away, blaming luck when in reality it was their habits that betrayed them. Habits are stronger than motivation. Motivation rises and falls, but habits remain. Many people believe they need constant motivation to shape their destiny, but what they need is consistent habits. Motivation is the spark, but habits are the fire. Once a habit is ingrained, it carries you forward even when motivation disappears. Destiny is shaped not by how often you feel inspired, but by how often you remain disciplined through habit. Habits shape identity. Every action you repeat is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. If you habitually act with courage, you become courageous. If you habitually act with laziness, you become lazy. Identity is not something you discover. It is something you create through repeated action. Over time, this identity solidifies into destiny. Habits shape vision. The clearer your daily actions, the clearer your long-term direction. Habits keep you aligned with your goals, ensuring that you don't just dream, but act in ways that make dreams reality. Without habits, vision fades into fantasy. With habits, vision crystallizes into destiny. Habits determine legacy. The things you do every day outlive you. They impact the people around you. They set examples for the next generation. They create ripples that extend beyond your lifetime. A parent's habits become a child's model. A leader's habits become a team's culture. A person's habits become a community's influence. Destiny is not only personal, it is collective, and habits decide what kind of mark you leave behind. Habits shape destiny because they are proof of who you are becoming every single day. The world does not reward occasional greatness. It rewards consistent excellence. Consistency is only possible through habit. The small choices you repeat create the large results you experience. And over years, they create the story of your life. Pain fuels growth, and this is a reality that every human being must eventually face. Pain is not an enemy, though it feels like one. It is not a punishment, though it stings like fire. Pain is a teacher, a sculptor, a relentless force that strips away weakness and forges strength in its place. Growth never comes in comfort. It comes in the breaking, the stretching, the burning. Pain is the currency of progress, and those who learn to endure it, to embrace it, to use it, are the ones who rise above mediocrity and step into greatness. Every time pain enters your life, you are presented with a choice: retreat into excuses or advance into growth. The outcome of your life depends on how you answer that choice. Pain tests the limits of your endurance, and in testing those limits, it expands them. Think about muscles in the gym. They do not grow by resting. They grow by tearing under stress, by enduring tension, by being pushed beyond what they thought possible. That tearing hurts, it burns, it aches. But without that pain, the muscle never grows. Life works the same way. Every setback, every loss, every heartbreak, every failure is a weight placed upon your spirit. You can allow it to crush you, or you can use it to build a stronger version of yourself. Pain is the process of transformation, and those who avoid it remain small, fragile, and weak, while those who embrace it rise stronger than they ever imagined. Pain fuels growth by forcing you to confront truth. Comfort hides truth. It lulls you into illusions of ease, of stability, of control. Pain shatters those illusions. Pain reveals your weaknesses, exposes your flaws, highlights where you lack discipline, where you lack preparation, where you lack courage. Pain shows you exactly who you are in moments when everything is stripped away. Some people run from this mirror, unwilling to face the reflection. Others stare directly into it, acknowledging the flaws, then using them as a roadmap to improvement. Growth only comes when you see the truth, and pain is the tool that forces you to face it. Pain fuels growth by teaching resilience. No one becomes resilient by living an easy life. Resilience is born when you are knocked down and have to stand again. It is forged when you fail repeatedly, but refuse to quit. Each time you endure pain and keep moving, you train your spirit to withstand more. Over time, what once broke you becomes manageable, what once felt unbearable becomes normal, and your threshold for adversity rises higher. This resilience becomes your armor, protecting you against future storms. Without pain, resilience never forms, and without resilience, growth never sustains. Pain fuels growth by building empathy. When you have walked through hardship, when you have carried the weight of suffering, when you have felt the sting of loss, you begin to understand others more deeply. Pain expands your perspective, softens your arrogance, and reminds you that every person you meet is fighting a battle you cannot see. This empathy fuels relationships, leadership, and connection. The most powerful leaders, the most impactful voices, the most compassionate souls are those who have known pain and allowed it to shape their hearts instead of hardening them. Growth is not just personal strength. It is also the expansion of your ability to connect with and uplift others. And pain is the bridge to that growth. Pain fuels growth by shattering comfort zones. People rarely move beyond what is familiar unless they are forced to. Pain forces movement. When you are too comfortable, you stagnate. When discomfort enters, you are pushed to adapt, to innovate, to try something new. The greatest inventions, breakthroughs, and transformations often come in times of pain. Societies rebuild after crisis. Individuals reinvent themselves after failure. Teams find strength after loss. Pain creates pressure, and under that pressure, potential that once lay dormant is awakened. Pain fuels growth by cultivating gratitude. Those who have never suffered often take blessings for granted. Those who have suffered understand the value of small victories, of moments of peace, of opportunities that others overlook. Pain deepens appreciation. It reminds you of the fragility of life, of the importance of time, of the treasure of health, of the gift of love. Gratitude shifts your perspective from entitlement to humility, and that shift is growth. Pain strips away arrogance and replaces it with awareness. Pain fuels growth by sharpening focus. When you encounter hardship, distractions fall away. Pain demands attention, and in that demand, it clarifies what truly matters. You stop wasting time on trivial pursuits, on meaningless arguments, on shallow pleasures. Pain forces you to prioritize. It makes you decide whether your goals are worth the struggle, and if they are, it drives you to pursue them with relentless intensity. Pain strips away the noise and leaves only the essentials, and in that clarity, growth takes place. Pain fuels growth by building discipline. Comfort makes discipline optional. Pain makes discipline necessary. When life is hard, you either develop the habit of persistence or you collapse. Those who choose persistence discover that pain is temporary, but discipline lasts. Each time you push through discomfort, you teach yourself to act regardless of feelings, to stay consistent regardless of circumstance. Over time, this discipline becomes second nature, and with discipline comes achievement. Pain fuels growth by teaching humility. Success without struggle breeds arrogance. Pain keeps you grounded. It reminds you that no matter how strong, smart, or talented you are still human, still vulnerable, still learning. This humility is essential for growth because arrogance blinds you to lessons. Pain opens your eyes, keeps you teachable, keeps you hungry to improve. It is the constant reminder that you are a work in progress. Pain fuels growth by fueling hunger. Those who have suffered hunger most often appreciate food. Those who have endured loss most often value love. Those who have experienced failure most often chase success with relentless fire. Pain creates a void, and that void becomes fuel. The desire to escape pain, to rise above it, to never feel it again drives people to push harder, work longer, and fight stronger. This hunger creates breakthroughs because those driven by pain refuse to stop until they achieve victory. Pain fuels growth by breaking illusions of control. People believe they control everything, but pain reminds them of reality. Life is unpredictable. Plans collapse, circumstances shift, losses come. Pain strips away false control and teaches adaptability. Growth happens when you stop demanding that life be easy and start preparing to face it as it is. Pain is the reminder that you cannot control every event, but you can control your response, and in that control lies your true power. Pain fuels growth by separating pretenders from the committed. Many begin a journey with enthusiasm, but enthusiasm fades when pain arrives. Only the truly committed remain. Pain reveals who is serious. It is the filter that separates dreamers from doers, talkers from achievers. Growth comes to those who endure past the point where others quit. Pain is the gatekeeper, and only those willing to pass through it find the rewards on the other side. Pain fuels growth by forging patience. In a world addicted to instant gratification, pain teaches the value of waiting, of enduring, of trusting the process. Growth is rarely immediate. Muscles do not appear after one workout. Wealth does not come after one investment. Wisdom does not arrive after one lesson. Pain stretches the timeline. It forces you to slow down, to endure, to stay consistent. This patience becomes one of the most valuable traits a person can have because true growth always takes time. Pain fuels growth by revealing priorities. When you hurt, you quickly discover what really matters. Trivial pursuits lose their shine. Shallow relationships lose their appeal. Temporary pleasures lose their hold. Pain narrows your vision to the essentials: health, purpose, love, contribution, meaning. Growth is not always about adding more. Sometimes it is about stripping away the unnecessary until what remains is true and unshakable. Pain fuels growth by cultivating mental toughness. Pain is uncomfortable, and the natural human instinct is to escape discomfort. But when you refuse to escape, when you face it head on, you develop toughness that carries into every area of life. Toughness is not about avoiding emotion or pretending pain doesn't exist. It is about standing strong in the middle of it, refusing to break, refusing to give in. This toughness builds confidence, and confidence fuels growth. Pain fuels growth by creating perspective. Without pain, victories feel hollow. Without darkness, light is not appreciated. Without struggle, success has no meaning. Pain gives contrast, and contrasts what makes growth visible. When you look back at who you were before pain, you see how far you've come. Without that contrast, growth would be invisible. Pain makes growth undeniable. Pain fuels growth by teaching you to let go. Some pain comes from holding on to the past, to mistakes, to people who no longer serve your future. Pain forces you to release what is gone, and in that release, you create space for growth. Letting go is painful, but it is also freeing. It clears the path for new beginnings. And those beginnings often lead to greater strength than you imagined. Pain fuels growth by showing you the depth of your strength. Most people underestimate what they are capable of until pain forces them to find out. Pain reveals hidden reserves of courage, strength, and endurance. The human spirit is far more powerful than most realize, but it often takes pain to uncover it. Growth happens when you realize you are stronger than the obstacles you face. Pain fuels growth by making success meaningful. If everything came easy, nothing would feel valuable. Success without struggle feels empty. Pain gives weight to success, makes it worth celebrating, makes it worth remembering. Every scar becomes a story. Every wound becomes a reminder of what you overcame. Every hardship becomes part of the legacy that defines you. Growth is etched into the fabric of pain endured. Consistency beats talent, and this truth is one of the most overlooked yet powerful principles of success. Talent is a gift, but without consistency, it fades into nothingness. Many people are born with natural abilities, intelligence, or strength, but talent alone cannot carry them to greatness. Consistency is the multiplier. It is the daily grind. The small habits repeated thousands of times, the discipline to keep going when excitement has disappeared and motivation has burned out. Talent might give someone a head start, but consistency decides who finishes the race. The world is full of talented people who never fulfilled their potential because they relied only on natural ability. On the other hand, history is filled with stories of ordinary individuals who, through relentless consistency, rose above the gifted and built legacies that outlasted them. Consistency beats talent because consistency compounds. A small effort repeated daily becomes massive over time. The person who practices 1 hour every single day will eventually surpass the person who practices occasionally, no matter how talented. It is the law of accumulation. Every rep, every page, every step adds up, and eventually, the gap between the consistent and the inconsistent becomes unbridgeable. The consistent person grows steadily, like water carving stone, slowly but relentlessly shaping greatness from persistence. Talent might shine bright in bursts, but consistency burns steady, and steady fire outlasts the brightest spark. Consistency beats talent because consistency builds habits, and habits shape destiny. Talent is unreliable when it depends on moods, feelings, or circumstances. Consistency does not ask if you feel like it. It shows up regardless of mood, regardless of weather, regardless of difficulty. The consistent person understands that habits are stronger than feelings, and once habits are formed, success becomes inevitable. Talent may win a moment, but consistency wins a lifetime. Consistency beats talent because consistency creates trust. In teams, in relationships, in leadership, talent is admired, but consistency is respected. People may be impressed by raw skill, but they will only depend on the person who shows up every time, who delivers when promised, who stays steady under pressure. Talent can dazzle, but consistency builds reliability, and reliability is the foundation of trust. The world rewards those who can be counted on, not just those who can impress. Consistency beats talent because consistency strengthens resilience. Talent can be fragile when it has never been tested, but consistency toughens you through repetition. Each day you show up, even when it's hard, you strengthen your ability to endure. You learn to work through boredom, through setbacks, through failure. Talent may crumble when things don't go perfectly, but the consistent person has been trained to push through obstacles. That resilience becomes a weapon, allowing them to outlast those who once seemed more gifted. Consistency beats talent because consistency closes gaps. You may not be the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, or the most gifted, but if you are the most consistent, you will eventually catch up and pass those ahead of you. The gap between the talented and the consistent narrows day by day until it disappears, and the one who refused to quit pulls ahead. This is why so many underestimated people rise to greatness. They rely not on natural ability, but on relentless persistence. Consistency beats talent because consistency turns learning into mastery. Talent may provide a shortcut to early success, but mastery requires long-term repetition. Mastery is earned through countless hours of focused practice, through failures corrected, through adjustments made over and over again. Consistency is the path to mastery because it forces you to show up long enough to move beyond surface level skill into deep understanding. Those who depend only on talent often stop too early, while those who remain consistent unlock levels of mastery the talented never reach. Consistency beats talent because consistency builds momentum. Every action repeated builds energy, builds rhythm, builds forward progress. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in success, and it is born from consistency. Once momentum is created, it carries you forward even on the days when motivation is low. Talent may create bursts of momentum, but consistency sustains it, keeps it alive, and turns it into unstoppable force. Consistency beats talent because consistency outlasts passion. Passion is valuable, but it comes and goes in waves. It is easy to act when passion is high, when you are inspired, when everything feels exciting. But when passion fades, consistency keeps you moving. The consistent person keeps showing up, and in doing so, they often rediscover passion in the process. Talent may rely on bursts of passion, but consistency guarantees progress no matter how you feel. Consistency beats talent because consistency breeds confidence. Every day you keep a promise to yourself. You build trust in your own word. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence is not built from talent alone, but from the knowledge that you can depend on yourself to show up, to do the work, to improve steadily. Confidence comes from preparation, and preparation is the child of consistency. The person who practices enters the arena with certainty, while the talented but inconsistent enter with doubt. Consistency beats talent because consistency expands discipline. Every act of consistency strengthens your ability to control your actions instead of being controlled by your moods. This discipline spills to every area of life: health, work, relationships, mindset. Talent may open doors, but discipline keeps them open, and discipline is born through consistency. The more consistent you are, the more disciplined you become. And the more disciplined you become, the greater your control over your destiny. Consistency beats talent because consistency creates identity. When you show up day after day, you begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer someone who tries, you are someone who does. You are no longer someone who dreams, you are someone who builds. Identity is shaped by repeated action, and consistency is what forges it. Talent may give you potential, but consistency turns potential into identity, and identity guides every future decision. Consistency beats talent because consistency teaches patience. In a world addicted to shortcuts and instant results, consistency forces you to slow down, to accept that growth is a long-term process. Talent often seeks immediate recognition, but consistency is willing to wait, to grind in silence, to stay steady without applause. Over time, patience becomes power because those who wait, endure, and persist eventually stand where others gave up. Consistency beats talent because consistency sustains success. Reaching success once is not the goal, sustaining it is. Talent may help you achieve quickly, but without consistency, it is easy to lose. The same habits that brought you to the top are the habits that keep you there. And those habits come from consistency. Many rise fast and fall faster because they relied on talent without consistency. The truly great are those who built foundations strong enough to last. Consistency beats talent because consistency makes effort predictable. When you are consistent, you no longer wonder if you will act. You know you will. This predictability removes hesitation, removes decision fatigue, removes wasted energy. The consistent person moves forward with clarity and certainty, while the talented but inconsistent waste time deciding, delaying, doubting. Predictable effort produces predictable results, and this reliability compounds into extraordinary outcomes. Consistency beats talent because consistency shapes character. The repeated act of showing up, of pushing through resistance, of refusing to quit develops traits like grit, perseverance, reliability, and humility. These traits outlast talent because character cannot be taken away. Talent may fade with age, with injury, with time, but character remains. The person built through consistency is unshakable, regardless of circumstances. Consistency beats talent because consistency turns ordinary into extraordinary. Most people are not born with exceptional talent, but everyone has the ability to be consistent. That is why consistency is so powerful. It levels the playing field. Ordinary people who remain consistent can achieve extraordinary results because greatness is not about bursts of brilliance, but about the steady accumulation of effort. The extraordinary is simply the ordinary done consistently over time. Consistency beats talent because consistency builds legacy. Legacy is not created in moments of talent. It is created in years of persistence. It is built in the day, today, in the habits repeated over decades, in the relentless pursuit of excellence long after the spotlight fades. Talent might make you famous for a moment, but consistency makes you remembered forever. Consistency beats talent because consistency ensures progress even when everything else fails. Motivation fails, passion fades, inspiration disappears. But consistency is a choice, and when you choose it, you guarantee forward movement. Even the smallest step, when repeated daily, moves you closer to your goals. This progress compounds, and over time, it builds results that talent alone could never achieve.